Hello and welcome to DEX, a free design weekly exercise from the Graphic Design School. My name is Jackie and I'm going to show you how to use the quick selection tool and masking to create a collage of images. This is something that you could use for a poster or marketing material. I've decided to use fashion images, but it's as long as you have something with a bit of contrast and detail in one image and then the subject in the other, you can create whatever ideas you have. So let's get started. So firstly, what we're going to do is go into Photoshop, and the two images that you've chosen, or you can use the images that I have on the links in the notes. So open your first image, which is this image of a girl, a model, and then we'll unlock that background. Then we have the second image, which is the flowers. So this is going to become her dress. We'll just rasterize this image, this layer. Okay, now starting on our first layer of the girl, we can use the quick selection tool, but sometimes this can have a mind of its own. This seems to be working quite well though. Just going all the way around the outside, that's worked really well. Then hold down the shift key so that we can get in here as well. And then we will invert it, because at the moment it's just covering the background, but we actually want to pull out the girl. So if you do Command Shift and I, so now you can see the marching ants are all around the edges of the girl. Then go up the top here and press Select and Mask. Then I like to use Overlay, which brings up a colour. So this, if you use this opacity, you'll see it here is at a 100%, and then if you come down lower, you can start to see the background. But it's good just so that you can sort of see if there's anything that you've missed in the background there. So we'll zoom in a bit. Just see there's a little bit here on her arm that's still there. So if you grab the paintbrush, and this is going to paint in that red, sorry, the negative will paint in the red. Just going back along. And if you make a mistake, you can go back to the plus sign and that will remove that for you. And go back to the negative. The other thing you can do is up here, you can play with the size. So it's bigger size, and I'll just remove that again. And you can also play with the hardness, so whether it has a soft edge around the edge or a harder edge. So I'm just going to fill that back in and make this small again so I can get down to that edge. On the negative, there you go, all around the edge. Make this nice and neat, sort of as steady as your hand can be. Checking there, into these little areas. the mask tool has actually done this quite nicely for us around the edges, but at times you might have a very busy background, and in those cases you'll have to use the pen tool to go around the edges, because otherwise the mask, the quick selection tool would pick up too many of the shadows and things that you just aren't wanting. So this is getting quite in close here to the skin, but you have to remember that it will be at quite a distance, so this is won't be as obvious. Just getting in here. That looks, if you go back, that is looking good on that side. Just picking up anything you see. Around this edge here. Now this dress is actually, it's going to be covered up by the flowers, so we don't need to get in there as much. There we go. Zoom out for you. And then if you just press OK, and there we have the marching ants perfectly around her. So then we'll press Command J, which brings her out on her own, like so. Just to give you an idea, we'll just turn her off for one moment, just to show you another way of doing it would be using the pen tool. So grabbing the pen, zooming in. Here, this is for when you have a lot of detail in the background, because using the wand tool in a busy background will it could pick up all of the different lights and darks that you're not wanting, and it can become difficult in those situations. So if we use the pen, if you have a busy background, just pulling that along. And so here where it's done the zigzag, if you just hold down the Option key, and it will help move that handle back in the direction you want. We'll move this one up for our next point, which will be up in that direction, and going around, just using Option again, using the Option. And also, if you, when you're on a point and you decide you've accidentally moved too far out or too close in, you just push your finger onto the space bar and you can move that only when you're on the actual point. And you just go all the way around, but you'd see in here, once you cut it out, you'll still have that little area around the side. So you'll do the same thing when you have the marching ants. You go into select and mask, and you go back through the process we just went through. And we'll go back onto this girl. Okay, now we have the shape of the flowers that we need to do. So we're wanting to follow the shape of this dress. So if we get the magic wand, sorry, the quick selection tool again, and we'll just trace over the dress, and see here it's got her arm, so you can press option if you want to get rid of that. And so this is the shape we're wanting to follow. So now if you unclick the eye and click onto the flowers, and so now the marching ants are around the basic shape that you're wanting. So we'll go, make sure you're on the correct layer, press Command J, and you'll see it's cut out the flowers for you. So it gives you a bit of an idea. Now the only thing to keep in mind here is the red showing around the edges here. So I have to go back in and do it again and use the select and mask tool this time. So we need to get this shape, jump back onto that layer, use the quick selection tool, the W, get hold of this shape, which, because we're on the layer of that dress, it should pick it up pretty easily for us. There we go. And now we'll go onto the layer of the girl so that we can see the red dress, and press select and mask, and zoom right in, and you can see where that red is sitting around the edges. Could even change this color because it's confusing that we have a red dress. So we might change it to, say, a green. Okay, now we can see where those red areas are. Zoom right in. Oops, I meant to use the positive sign because we're wanting to clear it. It's sort of okay if we go around the edges and still getting a bit of that background, because we want the flowers to go over that. So this is just masking the shape that the flowers will be in. So in our case here, it's better to have more than less. Just going to get rid of all that, grab onto all that red around the outside there. I can see these dots, but if I take the opacity up higher, they do disappear, which means that the mask won't get onto those dots there. And again around here. Now I can't see any more shadow around there, maybe a little bit here. And we'll zoom out. Let's turn the opacity up so we can check it. And I think that should work well for us. Maybe just a tiny bit more down in this section. So it was just here. The positive, and let's go around there. So you can still see that red dress coming through here, which we want to get rid of. Turn that opacity up again. Okay, that's looking good. I'm happy with that. Okay, now we have the ants going all the way around the edge. We'll go onto our flower layer. Turn that on, turn this one off. And press Command J, which takes our shape for us, so move that. And that's looking much better. Now we want to add in the extra detail. So I'm just going to clear this up a bit, get rid of that layer that we decided not to use. Now we will go onto the layer we just made. Use the quick selection tool to grab that shape once again. And turn her off for now. And then we'll go in to select a mask, but this time we're going to paint around and get the shapes that we want. So press select a mask, bring this opacity right down so that we can see the flowers in the background and what we want to be coming out of her dress. Okay, so we use the positive to to add in the extra flower in the background, and I just need a bit more size here. Okay, so now we just want to add in these beautiful flowers around the edge here, perhaps this flower at the top, a couple of these berries. So we'll use the positive sign again, and you'll see here this flower is sitting there on its own, which means it would cut out that image which we don't want. So we'll bring that back and get into this lovely flower on the side here. My size quite large, which is okay for these big bits that we want to get here, but then we'll have to come down and make it a bit smaller to get around the edges. Just painting all the way around. I'm just sort of looking back here to see what this shape is, if it's going to come into our image too much, which it may do. So I'll just get a little bit more done and then we'll have a look and see what we think. So just going around here, and going to turn that opacity up, which will give us an idea of how that will look. What I might do is come back in here and go along that leaf and then around that one. So I'll go back out, bring the opacity down so I can see the background a bit better. Use the negative. Going around the edge. Of this particular petal here, and then maybe we'll go around this leaf, which will give it a bit of nice detail. And just continue to keep going around the image and getting any nice detail that you think might look nice in this image. So I'll just keep going around and I'll finish this image and come back to you. Okay, here we go, and now we'll press OK. Now we have done our mask. We'll go back in, make sure that the layer is on the full floral image, and then press Command J. We'll turn that image off, put the girl on, and add in that background. And there we have it, the beautiful floral girl. I hope you enjoy this Dex, and you can take this a bit further by making this a poster, or doing it with different images that you want to combine, making a collage. Thank you very much. Bye. And there we have it, the flower girl. I hope you can do this yourselves, just using two different images and collaging them together. It has a great effect, and something with impact that you could use for a poster or artwork that you are doing. Thank you.